I really don't like the Nuclear Operatives game mode. Ah, damn it. Now, before I can explain how I want to fix it, and how I believe some rather simple changes could make it much, much better, I need to explain the biggest problem I see with the game mode. There are two big issues and a couple minor ones, and the second issue is a little more subjective, so I'll be explaining it in a separate video, a part 2, if you will, I guess. But the first issue that we're covering here is much more objective and much more easy to see. Round stalling. For those unaware, round stalling is an issue where rounds will continue on for a significant amount of time despite there being effectively no way aside of a conflict or any roleplay can happen. No one wins, no one can win, and no one can roleplay properly. It's essentially a period where nothing is happening and everyone's just stuck waiting for one person or one specific event to happen for the round to end. See issues where the Tesla loses or some other problem happens where there's absolutely no way the crew can call evacuation and everyone's just kind of stuck waiting for an admin to notice that, oh, everything's dead, the round can't function. Great. Nuclear Operatives is by far the most vulnerable to this issue occurring purely because of how the game mode functions at its core. And this can happen regardless of intention on either team's side. The Nukies can cause round stalling, the crew can cause round stalling, without either of them intending to cause the round to stall. Situation A. The operatives get destroyed. If the entire operative team is demolished or otherwise unable to fight because they're out of ammo, supplies, or whatever, then they're basically just encouraged to not fight, to not play the round. Because by nature of Space Station 14, mid-round antagonists can happen, and these mid-round antagonists can give the Nukies an edge. For example, let's say that the entire operative team fights really hard, but security is just playing way too passively, they can't make any progress, what have you. Eventually, they run out of ammo. What do? Do they run at them in a Hail Mary attempt to end the round? Or do they just hide, wait, and play completely passively because they have a shuttle, they can fly infinitely, and there's no way for security to get the Nukies at all? This is uncommon, very rare. But much more common is the entire nuclear operatives team charges in, gets demolished by security, except for one operative. And I'm going to talk about Funky Station and the way they handle Nukies, because the crew on most rounds has an option to end this if there's just one Nukie. They could just call evac, and yeah. They could call evacuation, and the round will end when evac comes. The Nukie will eventually be forced to go to evac and try and do a Hail Mary last-ditch attempt to kill the captain. It's lame, and it's just going to result in random people dying, but at the same time, it's kind of required. Anyways, Funky has a problem where if the Nukies are existing, the shuttle can't be called. It's hard-coded to not be called. Essentially, if the one Nukie gets stuck, like for example, let's say the Nukie by some random anomaly gets stuck behind a bunch of reinforced walls, which can happen and has happened before. What are they supposed to do? They can't move, they can't leave, they are essentially just stuck. Completely and utterly, with no way to end the round. The fact that this can happen and the round can stall pretty much indefinitely is kind of just a failure at the game mode side. This shouldn't be possible. No other round has this problem where someone can just get stuck by random chance and no one can play the game. That's not a thing that happens on any other round type. On the crew side of round stalling, well, uh, the captain. The captain's entire job is to round stall. See, in the standard operating procedure of pretty much every medium roleplay server and just basic logic, the captain's entire job is to hide the disk. The captain's entire job is to make sure the nuclear operatives don't get the disk. Okay, makes sense. But there's a problem. The captain, in their infinite wisdom and the fact that they are just straight up faster than the Nukies in most situations, is essentially encouraged to just hide, to run, to hide, to not let the Nukies get the disc at all. No matter how injured the crew is, as long as there's one crew member alive that can push bandages and use a defib, the crew will eventually get back up and continue fighting. And the nuclear operatives don't have unlimited ammo. Even if they get control of the sec fab, even if they get control of the armory, they don't have infinite bullets. And in most situations, the crew will eventually out-revive the nuclear operatives and wear them down over time. Now, is this fair? Depends on who you ask. But even if the Nukies have essentially won, they've defeated everyone, they have to chase down the damn captain who's still being a rat in the maintenance tunnels or even outside the station. Now, to be fair, because I already see a bunch of people typing, most captains don't do this. They don't. Most captains will be that shining beacon and lead the crew themselves, but if we completely knock out RP expectations, which, I'll be honest, maybe that's a little unfair to just completely remove RP, then the captain is essentially throwing by showing themselves at all. By being anywhere public, by being amongst the Nukies, by being not on the exact opposite side of the station from the nuclear operatives, they're essentially throwing. This problem becomes a lot more prevalent the lower the roleplay level goes. On medium roleplay, it's essentially a non-issue because the people just want the nuclear operatives round to be a bit more interesting. But again, the lower you go, the closer to no roleplay, the more prevalent this issue becomes. Because people care a lot more about winning the lower the roleplay level gets. Yeah. Through intention, the captain can round stall. But what about if the captain doesn't intend to round stall? See, let's say the captain dies. They get blown up or whatever, and they drop the disc that they have in their hands, or they touch, say, the singularity containment, or they get flung out into space due to a shuttle mishap, or some other random third thing, because Space Station is a very chaotic game, and sometimes stuff happens and the captain gets yeeted far away from the station. And let's say, instead of hitting the barrier where the disc would teleport back to the station and the captain would be gibbed, they hit an asteroid. What are they supposed to do? And let's say they do hit the beacon. The invisible wall far out in space where things get deleted so they don't lag the server, and the failsafe occurs. See, the nuclear disk, if it goes way too far away from the station, has a failsafe to teleport somewhere random on the station. Yes, the Nukies have pinpointers, but at the same time, this isn't a foolproof solution. Sometimes the disk just gets stuck in a bunch of reinforced walls. Sometimes it teleports somewhere completely random. Sometimes the failsafe doesn't work at all, and it teleports into the singularity. Or something else. Because yes, I have seen the disk literally teleport into the singularity and the super matter. And the fact that that is at all possible, as a failsafe, that just sucks. It sucks. That shouldn't be possible. So as you can see, clearly, there's a lot of round stalling that can occur both with intention, unintentionally, or because of random bullshit happening. So how do we change this? Firstly, the failsafe should only teleport the disk onto the nuclear bomb. Now, you might disagree and say, but that's just giving the Nukies a free win. Yes, but this will also hard cut the issue of the disk being completely unrecoverable. Because if the nuclear bombs, both of them, the Station 1 and the Nukie 1, and those are both unusable, then the singularity has probably gotten loose and eaten everything, and the round is essentially just completely unwinnable for anyone anyways. So, we're just guaranteeing that if the disk is lost, the nuclear bombs, both of them, have to be lost as well. Another minor change, make the captain warned every time they step off station with the disk. Hard code it so that the disk straight up says, nuclear disk off station detected. Teleporting onto nuclear bomb in T-minus 60 seconds. This would prevent captains from getting flung out into space and forcibly teleport the disk from their inventory onto the station. This both serves to prevent people from wandering around in space with their jetpack and flinging themselves off the station, as well as the captain accidentally getting yeeted. Again, easy solution. I could imagine how that would be coded. Again, I'm not a coder. I don't know how to code any of this. As for the main issue of solving both the unintentional crew issues and solving the Nukies issues of round stalling, I have two proposals. But first, let's set some objectives. Firstly, one solution for any of these problems should not require active administration intervention. This is entirely subjective, but I really don't think the admins should have to make up for the failings of a game mode. The admins already have to deal with enough, and asking an admin to fix a problem with the game mode is both entirely subjective and just asking for them to get whined at more than they already do. This should be an objective solution that's hard-coded so that the admins don't have to make the hard decision of what is and isn't round stalling. Again, subjectivity is the enemy here. 2, these have to be intuitive. These have to make sense in canon, in roleplay, and not be, oh, the Nukies fail after an hour and a half of whatever, because These should be explainable in character. This should be, a player took this action to solve this issue, and this makes sense because of X. We shouldn't have to hackney together a half-assed solution. I mean, we're not revolutionaries here. Come on. You thought I'd not mention revolutionaries. 3, these changes should not interfere or remove or affect the balance of the game mode, generally. This shouldn't make Nukies completely unplayable. This shouldn't make Nukies unable to win. This shouldn't make the crew unable to win. This shouldn't affect how Nukies rounds function currently. This should exclusively affect how the game mode functions in edge cases. We are trying to cover edge cases, not affect the game mode's function as a whole. Firstly, War Ops should be exclusively admin only. Oh, not again. To illustrate why I think War Ops is honestly the worst part about the game mode, let me skip forward a little bit in the background footage you're seeing. Yeah, that's right. You thought this footage was just background footage? Nope, it's related, baby. See, personally, I am a massive fan of having a plan when I do a shift. I go in, I want to learn the super banner. I want to get an auto dock going. I want to do wizard medical or something. But Nukies kind of trumps on plans, like this guy's plan. This guy wanted to make a digital audio workstation round start. And despite the fact that we're in the middle of War Ops, he's consuming it. He's consuming resources to make a DAW. Something completely useless for fighting Nukies. Now, all power to him. He wanted to make a DAW, he's still going to make a DAW. But when I encountered that guy, I felt a twinge of anger. Like, in character and out of character. Like, I was like, how dare this guy have fun? How dare this guy use station resources to effectively make something that is entirely useless? Now, to be fair, who cares? It's a game about stupid spacemen. But at the same time, I don't really think a game mode should exist where you can effectively lose by having fun and doing your own thing. Space Station 14 shouldn't be about winning or losing unless you're an antagonist. And as the crew, you can 100% lose, especially when it's Nukies. Because if this round wasn't War Ops, we would have no idea that there's a nuclear team coming, and we'd be having a lot more fun and doing a lot more roleplay than we are. You've probably noticed that we've been barely talking to each other. Nobody's established gimmicks, no one's had any fun, no one's done anything unique, and we're just all waiting. Waiting for the nuclear threat to come and consume us. Which, for a game that relies heavily on randomness and chaos to be interesting, why is War Ops the most unrandom and unchaotic thing in the world a game mode that's even allowed to happen? This should be entirely relegated to admin-only things so that nuclear operatives are discouraged from forming plans that revolve around just, hey, let's get more TC than usual and roleplay even less than usual. The existence of War Ops hard decentivizes any amount of roleplay, and I do not think that it should be a part of the game where roleplay is considered paramount. To deal with the crew side of round stalling, as in the crew is able to deal with the nuclear operatives round stalling, we're going to do is re-add the head of security's emergency orders, but instead, we're going to change it into an SOS disk. The SOS disk is going to be a head to steal objective alongside things like the hypospray, CAPS ID, the nuclear disk itself, RD's suit, RD's teleporter, etc. It's a head of staff item. The emergency orders were removed because they literally did nothing like 90% of the time, and were never noticed if they were stolen because who the hell notices if they're missing from their office? Like, literally, who notices it? Nobody. So, here's what we're going to do. The SOS disk is going to be a thing the head of security can put into the comms console in a situation of extreme duress. And this will cause a countdown of 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes, after which a specialized emergency shuttle with security ghost rolls on it will spawn and dock to evac, effectively ending the round. This specialized shuttle is unable to be recalled by simply using a communications console. You will have to go and find the communications console with the disk in it and have the head of security or captain level permissions to take it out of the comms console. This is to ensure that people don't just, rip it out for no reason if by blowing into bridge, and ensures that crew kids do something about the nuclear operatives just not doing anything. This will also set the station alert level to Delta immediately, as well as causing an admin warning in the chat. For those who are unaware, certain actions on station have an administrator warning. For example, the explosions from C4, mini bombs, any other syndicate explosion will be logged and have a direct readout in the administrator's log and in chat for the administrators to look at. The SOS disk being inserted will also do this in order to prevent people from just shoving it in to go, oh, what round type is it, or whatever. Which, you might be thinking, this will just allow people to, require the admin thing, and people have to require the admin thing, and that's one of the rules you're broken. I disagree. I really don't think this will change the administrator's job too much, and realistically, in a situation where the SOS disk isn't being used, it's just a really shitty evac call. This also helps in situations where people will steal a comms console and then just spam recall in the maintenance tunnels with an e-bag because they're annoying. Tangential, but it will stop that from happening. Now, you're probably going to say that this will affect the round significantly, and that the nuclear operatives will be able to effortlessly, kill all the crew on the shuttle, and it's going to ruin the roleplay, and it's going to make crew too powerful. I disagree. I think that the issue of the nuclear operatives using the console is solved because they could just also blow up the console to get rid of the damn thing. And they have 20 minutes to take it out, or 10, 15. I think they have more than enough time to go in, get an ID, get to bridge, and rip that damn thing out before the shuttle comes. Again, this is an edge case. A very specific edge case in which this will also cause a crew major loss. Nukies will get a major win because the crew used the SOS disc and did not defeat the nuclear operatives, and instead used their emergency resources to escape the station. This will only be used in extremely duress situations in which there is no way for the crew to win, and they're effectively just accepting defeat. Or to deal with the annoying nuclear operatives that are round stalling. Which, again, this will force them, in an in-character way, to move their ass. As for the nuclear operatives dealing with the captain running away and round stalling, what we're going to do is we're going to give the commander of the operatives a new item called the nuclear override device. This can only be used on the station nuke and allow the nuclear operative commander to spend the same amount of time as it takes to disarm the nuke, bypassing the authentication sequence. Upon them starting the attempt, the Delta alert will be called, etc. So basically, we're just going to ensure that there's absolutely no way for the Nukies to bypass getting the nuke disc from Cap if, the crew's still alive and able to resist. This also solves issues where the captain gets forced off station, etc., etc., etc. The fallback sucks, so we could deal with it like this. This also will provide a unique way for the nuclear operatives to win, because this only works on the station nuke, and this also will not allow them to move the nuke without the disc. That's a very important detail, because again, this is an item to deal with an edge case exclusively. This is not an item that allows the nuclear operatives to easily win and bypass the intended gameplay of getting the nuke disc. This is entirely to prevent round stalling or allow the nuclear operatives to get their win once they've already taken out the entirety of the crew. Now, a couple things. Firstly, obviously there will be people that try to game the system. For example, one way you might imagine someone games the system and gets around the whole, kill, get the nuke and all that is by bombing the nuke, moving the nuke to a safer location to defend, and then doing the bypass. This can be solved by just making the tile all nukes spawn on completely invulnerable. Cannot anchor it and blow up the tile under it if the tile is indestructible, eh? And another thing, I don't think the crew walling off the nuke isn't a problem that can't be solved by admin intervention, especially because it kind of happens anyway, and the nuclear operatives have more than enough things to deal with a situation where the nuclear bomb gets walled off. They have UAV swords, they can just go get an axe, they have bombs, This also makes it so that if the crew is dumb enough to move the nuclear bomb on their own out of the vault in preparation of, Nukies show up, quick, use the disc to move the nuke to a better location, that's completely on them. That's their own fault. Anyway, that is my solution to deal with round stalling in the nuclear operatives game mode. Let me know what you think. I think, honestly, this is a great solution that can 100% just solve the entire game mode's round stalling issue, but I'd really like to know what you think. The one thing I will not abide, though, is people saying that round stalling isn't an issue, because it is. Do you want proof? The nuclear operatives called War Ops 29 minutes ago in my recording. They're still not here. Yeah. It has been almost a half hour of War Ops being called. They still haven't shown up. Ain't that something? Anyway, I'd like to thank my channel members: Some Kitty Cat, Dipsky, Samuel Vittel, Smelly Possum, Jello Criminal, Vanilla, Loltart, Billy, Carlander, Doorstar, Writhen Pain, Onion TPF, Biko Woo, Beep Beep, Plantic123, Weapons Warder, Phil Ben Timo, Admiral Obvious, and Sather Lappin. You too can become a channel member and support the show down below, yada yada. And that's it, this video. Let me know if you'd like a part 2, because the part 2 I have a fundamental change to the entire game mode that will make it a lot more interesting and give the Nukies a lot more options. Subscribe.